Hello there everybody, and welcome back to episode 2 of my tutorial series for Songs of SYX version 66. In the previous episode we have set up a food system that will get the little village somewhere. We have an Entelodon pasture that's right now outputting more food than we actually need, and the fishery is at the same time in the making. I have stopped pushing this time forward 5% before the construction was done, so we can continue today. Today's episode will be about how to get more people into your city and how to understand how that's happening and all these things in between. So, the fishery is ready and it's drawing now as many workers as it can. We are going to draw, to put it down to 0 for now. We are going instead to check out something that I meant to check out with this episode. So no, we can't do that. We're going to instead activate this warehouse job here. And now we're going to get started and make the city shine. To get more people into your city, you need services. Right now we only have food, and that's not attracting too many people. In the service area, we pick up first up in the health area, the well, and the hearth. So the well should be upscaled. It's a pretty nice thing to have 12 spots around it or so. And the hearth is going to be right next to that. The well is going to provide cooling in summer, saving the people from dying from overexposure to heat. Whereas the hearth operates the other direction around, it saves people from freezing to death in the winter. Your people will be protected by clothing. You right-click into the face of the humans here, and then you can see in the access menu how people are equipped. Currently, our people don't have any clothing, therefore they are pretty vulnerable towards the elements. Clothing can be produced, but it's a pretty lengthy production chain, and we're going to get there another time. So the well and the hearth do require some wood and some stone. Most importantly though, the hearth does require wood at all times. So without stone, I keep saying stone. Without wood, the hearth can't operate and can't protect anybody. So the gist of it is try to keep a warehouse loaded with timber in the vicinity of your hearths. That's all. So we're going to fast forward the time a little bit until these two buildings are constructed. Right over here we see the total number of people, and that green bar behind the face of the humans depicts their happiness. So currently the happiness didn't go up or down because nothing much has changed for them. Besides having food and a roof over their head, they don't have any ups or downs in terms of providing things inside, of things that the city provides for them. So, the well is insofar really cool as it is not needing anything except for maintenance, which will be the next thing that we're going to talk about once the hearth has been constructed. Up there, the warehouse is not being constructed. The workers of yours will always prefer jobs that are closer to their home, and then they spiral outwards. That is why they are currently preferring these jobs over the warehouse. This is by no means a guaranteed interaction, but roughly that's how your citizens tick. Now, these two buildings now do not seem to have had any impact. That is because nobody has used them yet. Right-click your humans and go into the Services tab. Here we see the general overview of the city's services and how fulfilled a certain race feels with these services. So currently the humans are 33% fulfilled with the wells. Every time they use them, they will update their opinion, and that goes into the entire statistics here. So these meters here, these are all influencing the happiness and the loyalty of your people. Happiness basically draws people in, and loyalty keeps them from destroying your city and being decent citizens. So we have to provide both of them, and therefore we have to provide all of these things here. We can now see that if we fast forward, these meters will go up, but there's plenty of them that we need to work for here as well. So as you see here, hearth fulfillment has filled. Now that warehouse here will be constructed next. But we're going to not stop here. We're going to build another service, or at least I hope it is found here. Ah, the system does get overworked every time, every version basically. So where are you? Here in the construct menu, you will find the janitor. By the way, if you are ever looking for something and you're not finding it like I did before, use the magnifying glass and you can just type in what you're looking for. So if you don't want to bother memorizing all these things here, you can use this, this just as good. So we are going to work and build our first janitor. Janitors keep things in shape. They work against degradation and they are essential for every city. You can't manage your city without janitors, not lying here. So we're building a 9-on-9 building, which will be our blueprint in the future for janitors, because janitors are a very repetitive pattern. So the janitor here, as you can see here, has a few yellow squares. This is, well, is there a term for it? Not really. So this happens when rooms get too large. This also increases the total amount of resources needed because the building is more complicated to build. But you can counteract that by building support pillars. You go here and shrink the room, and wherever you shrink the room, the building will have a wall instead. And if you see it, it goes away. Every pillar roughly does emanate stability roughly 4 squares into each orthogonal direction. I don't know into diagonal directions how it is exactly, but I think this is more than enough to know. So we're putting in some doors into this building here, and now workstations. I can't make them larger or smaller. They are prefabs, and every one of these workstations houses 5 janitors. So personally, I like to have janitor workspaces with 10 people hosted in there, and the next thing we need to do is we need to put in some auxiliaries to increase the efficiency so they work faster. So this kind of building will be now ordered to be constructed, and the janitor now will take care that the buildings will stay in shape and everything in between. This is insanely important, because if buildings degrade, the people in there work worse, slower, and I don't know, version 66 is boasting with more accident mechanics. I could imagine that a degraded building also might be influencing the accident probability negatively, but I have to research that. I don't know yet if this is actually a thing. So, our little city right now is thriving. We are producing slightly more food than we are consuming, but our stockpiles won't grow too much, because the game has spoilage as a mechanic. As you can see here, meat is spoiling with 100% yearly, and it spoils, if I understand that correctly, slower while stored. There seems to be a rework with these mechanics yet again. Well, you know, I'm featuring this game since very many versions now, but it keeps surprising me with new things again and again. So, we will complete our tour of simple services now. What we also will provide now is a speaker. A speaker is dirt cheap, it does require only a few stones, and it will provide a job for one person to be the speaker. It provides news, which is a basic service, which increases in return again the happiness of our city. It is at this point more and more important for us to increase the happiness of our citizens, and this will be a recurring topic in tons of episodes from here. So, the speaker is now going to be employed, and if you zoom out, you can see how far the speaker's influence stretches. So, Once your city grows past that, you will need a new speaker. So technically for the fishery, we would already need one because the fisher people can't really get the news. But don't worry too much about that. If you hit 60 to 70% fulfillment on these services, you're doing an excellent job. Alright, so now for the first time, the meter fills up and a yellow arrow appears. This is immigration. Your city is now attractive enough that people decide to come from far away to live here. Well, can't really blame them. We are setting up a SYX city here after all. So, we are going to order some more trees to be chopped and some more stones to be gathered. Try to keep your stockpiles of stone and wood always brim filled, and at this point we are going to increase the crates for these materials to 5 because I want to start storing this a little bit. So, new people can be accepted by just double clicking here. This will accept all the aspiring immigrants. I recommend to do this carefully, or you can right click here and select how many immigrants are going to be selected. At the beginning of the game, no problem to just hire everybody. So we are going to left control, we are going to hold down left control and left click into the house to just pick it up and copy it. I feel like putting up a living space over here towards the fisheries as well, because this will make the people eager to live there as well. So I double tapped the speed now to make things go fast, really fast. As you see here, stone gathering is a enormous labor, and I just figured that I have enough stone. So with delete jobs here, you can send the people away from jobs where you feel like they're delaying your workflow too much. After all, we only have 5 people at hand, and you really notice that you can only do so and so much with these people. There is another thing that makes people extremely happy and is very cheap to put down, and that's dirt roads. So people love organization. This game has now tons of different roads. We have had a huge road update with version 66, but for starters, we're going to work with dirt road. Dirt road fulfills the happiness for roads only minimally, has been very harshly nerfed, but it's still something worth putting up, as it not only makes your people a tad bit happier, it also gives you some speed bonus while your people are walking over it. So this is a clear win-win situation. It only eats up some workforce for a while, and on another side topic, it also makes your people it organizes also your city. So for yourself, you can just get yourself a plan together of how your city will go. So here we see now the janitor's place is almost done. If you click into it before it's done, you're going to be asked if you want to refurnish. Right click just to get out of there. Don't click the check mark, because you will reset all your building. It is super annoying if it happens, and if you ever click into that, just right click, and you're good to go. I bet you will ruin a building or two, like I did, but well, you get used to it. So our folks are now putting up the roads, and as you see here, general chaos is ensuing. This is pretty normal. It's pretty hard to organize which jobs are going to be done, and if you are issuing too many jobs at once, you can see what's just happening there. People are just doing things whenever they deem them proper. But the good thing is, as long as these ratios here are not weighed against you, you have all the time in the world. Songs of SYX is a game that doesn't put too much time pressure on your shoulders. Your city will eventually get raided and all those things, but this is, well, I don't know if version 66 has harder pressure on that. I haven't tried it out that far yet, but if in the previous versions you could bribe them away by just having trade. I'll keep you guys informed, of course, but, well, one thing at a time. So our citizens are now digging those roads, which takes a while, especially the roads that are leading through the stone. At times like these, you can also consider just snaking it around the stone to get the thing done faster. As you see here, clearing the stone does take quite some time. I'll leave it up to you. Either you are patient, if you are patient or not, but you see here, new people are popping up because our city is just being quite happy. So the next and last basic service that I wanted to introduce today is a religious one, that's shrines. So to find out which shrine you need for your species, you right click, put up the question mark here, and you will see the religion spread. Every race has a different religion spread. Emenion and Shmalor are the evil gods, whereas Athuri and Krator are the good gods. For beginners, I'd always recommend to stick with the good gods. The evil gods are fun too, but you're better off if you know what you're doing, right? So, we are now knowing that the humans are venerating Athuri and Krator, we are therefore going to set up a little bit of a shrine here. These come in different sizes. And if you feel like you can afford it, I'd totally recommend you to build the big gun right away. There we go. It's the big one for Athuri. And the big one for Krator. You can, of course, build smaller, but I do not recommend due to simple reasons like your city will grow anyways. Around this center, there will be lots of people living eventually. So the shrines, if I now build small ones, eventually I will have to replace them with large ones. And then I have the problem already that the room around these might be already spent, and they only require wood and stone. And these materials are really dirt cheap to come around. We don't have native access to stone, and even still we have more than enough stone to build these. So I really must say, on many fronts, I'd say start out small with this game, but here in this regard, I really don't think so. And I think we have bugged this building. So I think the workers can't reach this spot. So I'll show you what happens if you click this. So, oh, it has been reworked. That's great. So we remove this part here as it seems to make issues. Whenever you notice that a building is not being finished because a singular spot is missing out, that's often a sign that you placed down the interior in a way that your workers struggle to reach the last grid. I've had that many times, and sometimes you can just order to build it again. That would be just clicking to refurnish and then not change anything, but click the check mark again, then they will start again. But this can just reproduce the same error again. In this regard, we'll see whether or not the janitor will be built. But first, our people, they want those shrines done, and I don't mind. Shrines are good. You will see what kind of impact these will have in a hot second when the first of them will be done. We see that the constructions are to be finished soon. And the good thing about shrines is they don't require any workers. All they require is maintenance, and maintenance is easy to come by. At the same time, a shrine will fulfill the religious needs of your people, found down here. So religious need can be fulfilled via shrines and temples. Temples are the big guns. They are the organized religion version of the shrines, and much costlier. We also need to research them first. We will not see temples for a long time. But shrines, as you see there, have quite the high fulfillment rate, and this spikes up our happiness and our loyalty yet again, which leads to more people wanting to join our city. And that's exactly what we need right now. Because you can make as much food as you want. If nobody likes your city, and if nobody wants to come to your city, you will still starve out eventually because you are lacking workers. And as you see here, now the janitor is ready. So here, this cogwheel means auto employ. This is a mechanic that makes sure that the AI checks out the workload and adjusts people then. This is pretty handy, and I highly recommend to activate this on your warehouses as well, because I personally have no clue how many workers are really needed to transport one good from one place to another, but I trust the AI to have better ways to estimate that than my sorry jiggly brain does. So yeah, that's the idea. Since we now have enough attractiveness, we can now allow another person into our city. It's a slow start, and that's what it is at the beginning, but well. In the environment menu now, you can see the road preference also filling up because we have set up some dirt roads at least. This is now 5 times as weak as it was in the previous versions. I think it's pretty okay. It's just dirt roads after all. People shouldn't be too frisky about that in the first place. So, our citizens kill here 2 birds with 1 stone, pun intended, by farming out some stone and transporting and getting our road down. But at all times, make sure that you fell some trees. And when you're done with that, fell some more trees. You will need them eventually. Alright. So for a moment our production looks bad, but that is should be going away once the tending is done. The food meters in this game have confused me many times. So that is kind of weird. I can't explain right now to you why tending. Maybe my workers didn't tend the animals for a day or so. Well, whatever. We are now at the spot where we're just going to employ some fishers. Just order some more people. And yet another fisher. And there we go. So production is now back at normal. So we don't need to freak out that hard. Let's employ 2 fishers nevertheless. Alright. So we're going to provide a crate for fish. But we also will now set up another basic service that is just powerful. And that is going to be the food stall. So the food stall picks up food and transport and distributes it between your people. We're going to set it up here in front of the speaker. I define the area. And now I build food stalls. And I want here again achieve a spread that is going to be, well, 0.9 employees. Well, we can't get better than that right now. That's okay for starters. It's a dirt cheap building and we're going to work with that. Alright. So I have went into super fast mode, and you see here, while our production rate stays positive, our daily food stockpiles are quite low. That is because the buildings accumulate their production for a while, and then they transport it back to the warehouse, and stuff only gets accounted for if it is in the warehouse. But as far as I know, if the food is available, people will pick up their grub nevertheless, so don't you worry too much about that. So, the food stall has a really high range, as you see here, and it'll grab food from the warehouses. You can allow what kind of food is going to be grabbed, and then it'll just pull the stuff from wherever it is available inside the vicinity. That means your food stalls must always be in the range of a warehouse that stockpiles food. So that's really important. So I'm going to show you alongside of the series a few tips and a few tricks that you can use to avoid using warehouses and such, but one thing at a time. I don't want to overbloat this series too hard into one direction, so I hope you understand. Alright, We're letting our dudes now finish the work back here to finish the fisher's quarter here as well. We could pick up more people right now, but I'm not, because at this point the work is getting done and more people require more food and they require housing, and we haven't built that yet. So often it is really worth to say, yeah, we're going to sit that one out and wait a little bit. So the janitor, by the way, when you select them, you can see how far the stretch, how far the sphere of influence goes. You always want your janitors you want to have this sphere of influence of janitors on your entire city. Always. Because everywhere where they are not working, your city will degrade, and that is inherently bad for you. But I think I've talked about that already. So, second house is ready, and now we have housing available, which will make in return the people again quite happy. This is found in the access menu. People don't like to be out of housing. This is one of the most basic things, and as you see here, the total happiness of the city spikes quite heavily because of that. I mean, it is not a big surprise, but I just want to explain what you're seeing here. Okay, we can now accept all the 6 aspiring immigrants. We have enough housing for that, and we're just going to set up 5 fishermen, and then we'll see how the production goes. Look at that, we have more produced than we eat, and that is how it should be. All right, this warehouse back here we're going to use to store the fish from the fishery. There we go. So we're also going to put up auto-employment, as I personally find that very, very nifty. So since we copied the building, it copied also the settings from the previous building. We don't want that. This is an unwanted side effect, but well, you see what it is. You can also assign crates globally and such, but well. We are going to store a lot of fish here. That's that. And now, as you see here, this warehouse is not in the vicinity of that warehouse, but we can tell them to fetch. So, we link these together now, and, well, I hope it works like that. This is how it should work. We linked now this warehouse to that warehouse, and it'll now try to grab resources from this one to fill the crates with. Since fish is assigned here, we will see eventually if there's fish in this box, mission has been completed. The system has been introduced newly, and I am not that super familiar with it, as you see. But that's how it should work. So our fishers, of course, have to produce that fish first, and at the very least, our food stalls are pulling that stuff. There are also other methods of transporting goods in the city via haulers and such, but I'm going to introduce that on another occasion where it is actually important. Right now, we're doing just fine with the ways that we do. All right. So our first fishers are fishing their stuff in, and yeah. We have now settled down with most of the basics. The next big step ahead is now getting down the road with more advanced materials. Because now we could build ourselves new things to get food with. Where is it? Where is the hunter? You see, those new menus still kill me. I really looked them up, but here. The hunter provides food and leather, but he requires furniture. Furniture is a material that we will craft out of wood, but not today anymore, my friends. So that's that for today. With the knowledge that you have right now, you can now set up your city and draw your and expand accordingly. This is pretty much all it requires to keep a city growing. Janitors, housing, warehouses, and a constant eye on your food income, plus the services that your people require and want. So as a closer, we're going to set up a well and a hearth also back here. I'm again control left clicking while I'm doing this. I love to do that to just avoid the menus. And here we're going to set up these there as well. Because a good spread of these services never is a bad idea. You will really notice that for one, your people will die less. And here we see that the excess of hearths and wells is pretty low. That is, you should always aim for at least 50%. That is the least. 60 to 70% are really desirable at all points. Good. Thanks for watching, you all. Next episode, we're going to talk furniture and all the good things that happen with that. And, well, I'll see what we're going to cook up alongside with that. Leave me your comments down below. Leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Consider subscribing. And as usual, check out the description box. I have put up helpful links there. There's the playlist link for this series alongside with many other goodies, support links for this channel, my Discord, my Twitch, all the wonderful little things. Check them out if you'd be so kind. I'd be very happy. And a big thanks at this point to the supporters of Icon Gaming. I deeply appreciate you folks, and big thanks to you for watching this video until the very end. See you all in the next one. Bye bye.